Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
The Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Oklahoma originally debuted on Broadway in 1943 and ran for an unprecedented 2,212 performances. The classic show has long been a favorite for schools and communities. This spring, the University of North Carolina School of the Arts will perform the show using its original Broadway staging. Chancellor John Mauceri, welcome back to North Carolina Now.
So happy to be here.
Everyone at the UNC School of the Arts is working very hard, getting ready for a production of Oklahoma, which opens up in April the 28th. This is actually a restaging of the original broadcast Broadway production. Tell us what that means.
Well, first, what it means is that we will be showing the public for the first time in 50 years the same set designs, the same costume designs, the same choreography, the orchestrations, the words and music, of course, that opened in the St. James Theater in March of 1943. And why that's important is because this was maybe the first, and certainly the first, Broadway musical in which all those elements told a story together. Richard Rodgers once said that the reason that Oklahoma was so successful is that it looked like one person had created it. So to actually replicate Miles White's costume designs and Lemuel Ayres' scenic designs and Agnes DeMille's choreography, which were all part of the storytelling, is quite unique.
How did you get the idea to do this?
Well, I've always been someone interested in restoring things. I mean, my life as a conductor and as a producer has veered back and forth from doing brand new things to actually preserving things that need to be preserved. And I've always loved that idea of having the experience that we wouldn't otherwise have. I mean, Oklahoma opened before I was born. Although millions of people saw that production, it's not retrievable now, is the point. And I think what makes that important is that Oklahoma was a symbol of the United States of America. It opened during World War II. Within 2 months of its opening, another production began rehearsing to tour the United States. So even though we were totally at war, there were 2 productions of this production of Oklahoma running throughout the country. Then, right after the war, the same designs were replicated in London to open the Drury Lane Theater. In 1948, another production, the same sets, costume designs, all that, were done in Melbourne. And then in the 50s, again in Paris, and the State Department was touring the continent of Europe, representing America with this production. So it's a really important icon of American history.
You brought along some photos that show the behind-the-scenes work that's happening right now at the School of the Arts. Let's take a look and have you walk us through some of these images. Tell us what we're seeing here.
Well, that's the original poster design that was seen throughout the world. And that's the D&P, the design and production kids, building the portals. That is a shot of The Farmer and the Cowman that was staged for a photograph in 1943. And that is the opening of Act 2. Now here comes the color replication of that was done by one of our faculty members that's being built right now. That is the 89-year-old Jemsy DeLapp teaching our girls to do one of the dances, and here are some of the guys auditioning. Jemsy was in all those original productions. That's Joan Roberts on the left and Celeste Holm on the right in 1943. And that's Bill Brewer, one of our faculty members, who is restoring that costume. And there it is, the costume that Joan Roberts wore in 1943 as Laurie. Here is, in the middle is Celeste Holm with Ali Hakim and with her father, and that's the costume that has been restored by Bill Brewer as a design. That's Howard Keel, who was in the touring company, and that is Kyle Guglielmo, who's going to play that part of Curly in our production. As a young girl, Rebecca Moyes auditioning for Laurie. She's 17 years old, got the part. Alfred Drake and Joan Roberts in the original production. And here again is Bill restoring that costume that he sees in the picture over there.
That is amazing to see all of this come together. How many students and faculty in all are involved with this production?
Well, if you figure that the School of the Arts has approximately 1,150 students, high school, college, and graduate students, so we're the only school in the university system that has a high school component. This will probably involve close to 500 students. So almost half of the population of the school gets involved with the creation of an all-school musical. And that means not just the people on the stage, the chorus and the singers, the actors, the dancers. The orchestra in the orchestra pit are all students from the School of Music. And then, of course, there are the kids who are replicating the designs, making the costumes, the patterns, choosing the fabrics, sewing them, the wigs. Every wig is made from scratch on our campus. And then there are the sound design students, for example, just the idea of how you amplify subtly these voices to make it sound natural and normal in the Stevens Center. There are the performing arts management students who are involved with the managing of it, the selling of tickets, all of that. So it's an entire kind of family, a huge community goes into a production like this.
Let's take a look at some other pictures that you brought along that truly show how the students are becoming very engaged in this production.
Let's look. Here are the three postcard girls doing the can-can, and those are the original girls from the Dream Ballet at the end of Act 1. Here's Jemsy teaching the girls that look, this very famous look that the postcard girls do, and there are the three girls who got the part. And right now, this next picture are the three originals. Now look at the original, the costume in the middle, and this is Bill Brewer's restoration of that costume, which is being built right now for the postcard girls. This fellow, Charles, is Will Parker, and he is looking at Jennifer, who is our Ado Annie, and they're staging a scene of All or Nothing. They're supposing we should have a third one, and there he is. He's just a great kid. You can just see he's going to be a big star. And again, the kids who have the leads as well as the kids in the smaller parts are all wildly talented, just amazing. And they're learning Agnes de Mille's choreography from Jemsy DeLapp, who, as I said, was in all of those original productions. She's 89 years old. She was on campus 20 years ago when the campus did Brigadoon. And she worked with Agnes de Mille for 48 years. Now, Agnes de Mille, who choreographed Oklahoma, was an equal partner with Rodgers and Hammerstein. In 1943, to have a woman on that level was extraordinary. She brought herself to Rodgers and Hammerstein. She had just done the ballet Rodeo with Aaron Copland, and she said, you know, I'd like to be part of this. And she ended up being a quintessential part of Oklahoma in its storytelling. The ballet at the end of Act 1 is one of those great historic moments.
And in this next set of photos, we see Jemsy, again, working with the students. What do you hope that the students take away from this experience?
Well, for sure, they have an experience that covers 2 centuries. There's Jemsy showing some of the gestures, and there's Julia, who is doing one of the famous Agnes de Mille gestures, and here is Jemsy again demonstrating, because she dances with the kids, and you can see here this amazingly beautiful moment. This is the final scene. If you look at the set in the back there, now you get to see what it looks like after that in color. What people mostly know these pictures from Oklahoma, those who know about the history of the musical theater, in black and white photographs. So I think what's the big surprise for the audience will be how colorful it is. It is a riot of color, magnificent color. And the fact is, actually, when I was 11 years old, I saw the end of the tour of Oklahoma, and I saw this production, and I still remember the color. And in fact, I saw Jemsy DeLapp dance the Dancing Laurie when I was 11, so you can imagine what it's like for me to work with her now in 2011. Now, our kids, some of whom are as young as 15 or 16 years old, are working with people who are in their late 80s and early 90s. Just recently, we had the principal actors meet the original cast members in New York. And so Joan Roberts, who's in her 90s, got to meet Rebecca Moyes, who is 18 years old, and got to talk about the creation of that role. Celeste Holm, who I believe is 93 years old, was meeting with Jennifer to talk about Ado Annie and how she auditioned for Richard Rodgers and just what the roles are. And I have to tell you, those 2 young women, their lives changed, because it literally does cross centuries. And so I said to them, you'll be telling your grandchildren sometime late in the 21st century about when you met the people who created these roles in 1943.
Wow. What is, then, the best reason for viewers across the state to make sure they put the dates of this performance on their calendar and they come out and take a look at what you're doing?
Well, I think this is probably a once in our lifetime chance, because having the original creators help help inspire us into recreating Oklahoma, the iconic production that toured the world and represented the United States of America. And by the way, also was played for our troops. You know, we don't even have records of how many hundreds of performances were played all over the world for the American troops because it was classified information. We just know that it was being done, again, with these costumes and scenery replicated, even though it was probably fabricated in ways that were pretty rudimentary to be in Okinawa or be somewhere in Germany during World War II, but this was the production that represented America. So I would say that this is a moment to seize, and also, of course, to support the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, because all of the profits goes into scholarship funds. And I don't know if there's a school in the world where the kids are actually taking their final exam, which is what Oklahoma is, and raising money for themselves for their own scholarships, for the scholarships of their colleagues. And when we did West Side Story 4 years ago, it completely sold out. And the school benefited from the scholarship money for 3 years as a result. So in these economic times, it's really crucial for the health of our school to take care of itself, take care of its students, and for the public to support it. So they get two things out of it. They get an experience of a lifetime, but they also get to support our kids.
Finally, if our viewers want to find out when the performances are going to be held, how to get tickets, what do they need to do?
Well, first of all, remember April 28th, for 2 weeks it plays at the Stevens Center. And if you just go to UNCSA, which is our initials, uncsa.edu/OK. And that's easy. You'll find Oklahoma as the /OK.
Chancellor Mauceri, thank you so much for coming and sharing this production with us.
Thank you for having me.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.